President Obama has made it clear that the United States will now have no truck whatsoever with the government of Iran. So my message to the UK government is abandon all forms of appeasement. There is nothing to be gained from it. The government of Iran is not only an evil government dedicated to the abolition of human rights and to the most appalling human rights outrages which are being translated, of course, into the Iraqi government's attitude to Ashraf. But there is nothing to gain from the defence of our interests there anymore. And I hope that joint action by the bodies which are mentioned on the banner behind me will lead to some alleviation of the plight of the residents of Ashraf. I welcome the appointment of Baroness Ashton, whom, by the way, I like and admire greatly and regard as a friend. It needs clear statements from the heads of government throughout the EU to ensure that everything possible is done to prevent these outrages.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, I speak to you as a long-time supporter of the Iranian resistance and a strong supporter of women's rights in both Iran and Iraq. I believe that Ashraf is the most significant factor in confronting the religious and terrorist dictatorship in Iran that is moving towards acquiring a nuclear bomb. And at the same time, defending Ashraf is in line with our values, our Western values, promotion of democracy and human rights, and defending the Arab Spring. I must reiterate that if we don't stop the Iraqi government flouting international law, because that's what they're doing, and in its effort to destroy Ashraf residents, then tomorrow it may all be too late. I am deeply concerned that the Iraqi government, in line with its unlawful deadline to close Iraq at the year's end, and the orders of the Iranian extreme leader Khamenei, is preparing to attack Ashraf. The Iraqi government is obstructing the UN agencies in resolving the Ashraf issue. They are, for instance, applying pressure to disrupt the work of the UNHCR in determining the refugee status of Ashraf residents. The women in Ashraf, in particular, have had to endure abysmal physical and psychological torture by the Iraqi government forces. Just imagine the courage it must take these women to fight for women's rights in a regime like the one in Iran. It really is absolutely amazing, and I'm just absolutely overwhelmed by what it must take them to announce their opposition and to indulge in opposition in that kind of context. We must do everything we possibly can to try to prevent this from happening. Governments should stand alongside the Iranian resistance that represents the will of the Iranian people for freedom, democracy, separation of religion and state, gender equality, and a non-nuclear Iran. Thank you.
Thank you, my Lord. Can I say how good it is to be with you, ladies and gentlemen, and to share again a platform with my distinguished colleagues. Let me start my words by categorically stating that I too call upon Iraq to lift its illegal deadline to close Camp Ashraf by the end of the year, and that furthermore I support an urgent visit to Camp Ashraf by the EU's newly appointed ambassador Jean Durout. But I would like to concentrate my remarks on the values of Ashraf itself and question why it is that the mullah's regime in Iran would like to eradicate it. Let us ask why the fate of 3,400 members of the Iranian opposition group, the PMOI, in the middle of the barren desert is so important to them. If, as the mullahs say, Ashraf residents are part of an insignificant grouplet, then why pay so much attention to them? Why do they think this small camp is so important to their own way of life?